What's up, guys? Just a quick thought here about this whole Epstein revelation and the future of society and how we can move forward with this, because it's something I've been thinking about for a very, very long time, in terms of the nature of how is it possible to actually change society and to move forward in a way that doesn't repeat the mistakes in the past. Because when I was studying in university, I was studying political philosophy, I was looking at the natures of revolutions. That was my major, or whatever I was looking at. And there was a really obvious fact. When you look at, say, the French Revolution, you look at the Bolshevik Revolution, you look at the Marxist revolutions and the ones before that in Europe, what you found was, especially when you read because we're at a point right now, right? This is the point now that it's undeniable what is actually going on, and the level of intelligence of our global population and our level of actual good-heartedness is so combined with the extreme examples of just depravity and destruction and everything that's going on. It is now the point where the impetus is there, but the question is, how do you do this? And I have an opinion about, and this is my conclusion after 15 years of studying all this stuff deeply with all my effort, basically, is this. If you look at why all the revolutions have failed, it is this, right? And actually, you can probably thank Stefan Molyneux for this, because or whoever is spearheading the idea of voluntarism. The fact is that if you look at what happened during those revolutions, and if you look at the fundamental way that they went about it, what they did was they took one elite who had a monopoly on power, right? A monopoly on the use of force. And what they did was they came with some really, really good philosophy and some really good principles about the way that society should be organized. But the way that they overtook it was by getting all those guys and putting them in jail. So what they did was replaced one angry mob with another. They had one, so if we were to expand that onto what's going on today, right? We have these massive war machines. We have all these judicial systems and all these ways of punishing people and imprisoning people for breaking the rules, which requires that there be one ruling logic system, one ruling logic system, or one ruling prejudicial system, one system that says this is right and wrong, one idea of what right and wrong is. And I'm not saying there isn't one, but what I'm saying is that what is required is that you create a system where a certain group of people have an opinion, and that opinion then justifies who gets punished, killed, whose lives are not worth living or not worth being part of society, right? And I'm not saying that there isn't actually a right way to go, and then that is actually given by natural law and given by that is given to experience, and I'll discuss that in further videos. But what I'm saying in this case is that now that it's clear that we're ruled by absolute monsters, what do you do? The reality is, right, people who have all the power and all the money and all the influence and all this stuff, there's no possible way. Well, I mean, you could spend years fighting and trying to use this judicial system and trying to put them in jail and trying to prove how bad they are. But the problem with that is that in the meantime, what you're actually doing is creating a whole group of people and a whole population that is, their desire is to get the baddies. It's a witch hunt mentality. Whereas the future of an actual peaceful civilization is one that doesn't even go there, where that is not even on the menu in terms of the desire to punish, the requirement for a peaceful society is that people are allowed to do what they want, right? Which literally implies in its essence no punishment. There's no right to punish anyone. There's no right to kill people unless they're trying to kill you directly, which means that the way forward here now today, the only way forward, and this is the case logically and realistically, is to forget about it. And that sounds stupid, yeah, because I'm a pedophile and all that. I'm an Epstein supporter. No. What I'm saying is that the only way forward is that we have to make the world that we want to see. We have to make the world that supports the raising of children, the animal welfare, that creates regenerable agriculture, where we're creating it in harmony with nature and raising kids in a harmonious way, and people are at peace, and we have time, and where we readjust our values to focus on things like having time to explore our consciousness, to grow ourselves as conscious beings, where we live in the way that we're supposed to live, which is becoming clear by everyone's mass awakening, which I'm also going to talk about in another video, of the reasons of why that's happening, because that's something that came up as well in my studies over the past almost 20 years. But the unpopular opinion here, and the thing that is the case and is logically the truth, if you really think about it, and I'm talking about actually think about it and don't just react on hearing and seeing pictures of audaciously disgusting things, which everyone, if you've really been paying attention, is clear that that's been going on the whole time. I personally did not need to see the details to know that that was the intent of those people, because you can see it in people's faces. And also, ironically, that's what our society is, everyone's looking up to. That's what everyone's trying to be. So that's something to bear in mind. But the case is this, that the only way that humanity moves forward into a society that is actually the sort of utopian future which is possible based on all of our levels of not only intelligence and humility and abundance that we have created, is that we need to basically just create a divergent fork where there's groups of people who develop the types of ethics, develop the systems, develop the ways of living that are, and refuse to even see that as a possibility, refuse to allow something like that to even happen, and say, all right, well, obviously self-defense is going to need to be a part of it, but to a certain degree, the only way around this, the only way to move forward, is to create a situation where that is not even on the cards in any way. And it's not, you don't need to punish people, you don't need to exile them in any big dramatic way. All you need to do is create a world where that sort of behavior isn't possible, and it's so obvious just based on intuition of people who are living in a good way. So that's my little message for today. I hope you liked it, and I'll speak to you on the next one.